So what are the chances we get a deal at the Trump-Xi meeting at the G20? I'm joined by Derek Scissors now. He's the Asia economist at the American Enterprise Institute. And, listen, I mean, the Treasury Secretary before had said we were 90% of the way done on this, but the last 10% is the hardest part. You think that's still the same situation we find ourselves in today?
No, and I think in retrospect he was wrong, although it was a surprise to most people. The Chinese blew up the talks in early May because they did not want the enforcement mechanism on intellectual property that we wanted. That's huge because without an enforcement mechanism, any agreement they make on intellectual property is worthless. And the intellectual property piece of the talks is half the talks, the other half being purchases and tariffs. So there's no way you get 90% after what the Chinese did. And when the Secretary talks about a path forward, he really means we have to get somehow back to where we were before the Chinese decided they didn't want the deal.
So you're saying we're only 50% of the way there and we were never further along than that?
Well, in retrospect, that's true. That's not the way it looked when Secretary Mnuchin and Ambassador Lighthizer went to Beijing, but the Chinese changed up on us. They say no deal is done until the whole thing's done. That's fair. But it looked like we were close. It no longer looks like we're that close because not only do we have the same problem on IP enforcement that we had before, but now time is running out for China to make those purchases that the president wants. Every month that goes by, there's less time for those purchases to make an impact.
It's also interesting because we've gotten a lot of headlines over the last few weeks about, Bob Lighthizer speaking with his counterpart and setting up meetings, and all the signs look very good. Is there something they know that we don't? I mean, as we sit here and talk about what happened last time, do you think there's been a change in attitude by either side in terms of what they're willing to accept? And if so, which side would that be?
Well, you don't see it in public. The level of Chinese propaganda since early May is really unbelievable. It's the worst I've seen in 20 years in terms of insisting on cliches associated with the greatness of the Communist Party and so on. And on the American side, we had the president say today, China better give us a deal or tariffs going to go up. And after China, I'm going after Vietnam. So he still has the same attitude about trade deficits. The Chinese in public say they have the same attitude about their sovereignty and other such high-profile concepts. In private, I think the negotiators know that they felt they were close in April, and the question is whether the leaders will allow them to go back to where they were in April or stay with these public positions where there wouldn't be a deal.